It's like the prostitute once said, it's not the work, it's the stairs.
Let's get one thing out of the way. COVID sucks. 2020 has been, let's say, a year. These two incredible understatements can most definitely be qualified by the wreckage that has consistently ensued this year. This all-encompassing social, emotional, and just societal damage overall. Consequently, one of the greatest victims of 2020's relentless rampage has been theater. The entertainment industry in general has been thoroughly impacted by the lack of ability to congregate large crowds of people. We can see this from the bigger scale artists like Harry Styles and so on having to cancel their summer and fall concerts. This shift also is evident in a more harmful way to the theater industry as a whole, which does not have the luxury of being as mainstream as pop artists like Styles.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know.
This is an issue close to my heart as both a theater and film student currently in school. The future of my potential career as a young professional upon graduating university is even more uncertain than it was before, and before it was still pretty uncertain. This being a realization that has been thrust upon many people who belong to my generation. And while this may seem like an illogical statement to some, film is actually the steadier career path that I have available to me currently. Film does not require a live audience. Characters can be manufactured remotely, even without the actors who play them present. This is evident in the focus on the power of animated content in the past year or so, as a result of the impertinent pandemic we are all being subjected to currently. Or maybe rather subjecting ourselves to in this country. What I seek to dissect in this video is how theater has been singularly impacted by the events and realities of this, let's say, action-packed year, to put it nicely. The future of theater without the technology that has been developed in the past decade, and within my generation's collective lifetime in general, has offered whatever salvation it can muster to theater and performers overall. Many successful shows that previously featured narratives that are typically filmed live made the transition to having their actors enter the magical and diversifying world of 2D animation as voice actors, at least for the time being. Shows like The Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, and a newer addition to the fray, Central Park, certainly aren't as encumbered by this transition or the tumultuous state of the live entertainment industry as a whole. And while we should welcome the renewed appreciation of 2D animation storytelling, it comes at a cost when shows whose television futures hang in the balance of whether showrunners can make that transition or take the hopefully calculated risk of filming live, or even be cancelled as a result of these unfortunate circumstances. As previously stated, theater does not have the luxury of these different technological adaptations that, for example, film and television do. The true magic of theater can only be wholly captured by being in the room with the performance, something that the COVID-19 crisis has now robbed from all theatergoers, and people in general. As someone who was in the throes of researching theater accessibility in New York while the pandemic intensified, aka my university's spring break, transitioning theatrical content to more contemporary mediums was something that was still somewhat of a taboo even before COVID. And this was a project that I had begun developing in the fall of 2019, before the American public had any clue of the oncoming viral storm coming its way. Those who I interviewed and surveyed varied in their specific formulated opinion to my research questions, but there were a few overall consensi that were reached. The joy and spark of theater cannot ever be truly captured on film or over virtual broadcast. It is something that's so congruent to being present in the physical and interpersonal moment with the cast and crew of each production. Once more, several of the actors I spoke with pointed out the legalities that would have to be in place so that every performer, designer, and crew member would be fairly compensated financially for their work. Compensation that doesn't happen regardless of whether this footage of theater that's been accumulated every year for every closed Broadway show since 1970 is consented to being released or not, but that's neither here nor there, for now anyway. The specific newer technological advancement that has been utilized by theatrical productions is video calling technology, such as Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, what have you. This video call slash Brady Bunch-esque sort of format has been frequently adopted ever since Broadway and theater in general shut down. These productions are often fraught with technical difficulties that accompany using a medium to do something you thought you knew how to do and did know how to do for a time, in a time when uncertainty and fear dominate the public discourse, specifically when it comes to arts, and specifically when it comes to how to present it now. I participated in UP Stage's virtual production of Qui Gwyn's She Kills Monsters over the summer. While I think everyone was excited that we could be a part of theater in some way or form after being starved of it for so long, it was still somewhat sad because we all knew it paled in comparison to the real thing, and that this virtual business wasn't necessarily the new frontier that we had all hoped it maybe would have been. The novelty of this form of theater has not yet worn out, thankfully, as many productions of shows are being held within these mediums. But there is a veil of melancholy, as dramatic as it is to say. It's something that's overarching in all these shows, due to one collective thought. I wish I was with you all, doing the real thing that we all love to do.